Time passes so quickly. At some point, we find ourselves saying already, more often as we look at the calendar. And when we look back, it feels like we've been through so much yet on some days. It all seems to have passed by as if nothing happened. Time flows like a river we cannot grasp, and we drift along it like small boats. The passion and intensity of youth become distant memories, while the fatigue and weight of life in middle age press heavily on our shoulders. Then suddenly, we realize we have entered the latter half of life. And with that realization comes a deep reflection on how we should fill the time we have left. What have we lived for? And what should we live for moving forward? Leo Tolstoy, the great Russian literary figure. He was once a name that dominated European literature. A man at the very center of aristocratic society. Words like great and master always preceded his name. Fame, wealth, respect, he enjoyed all the glory the world could offer. Ironically, however, it was at the height of his life that he felt the most alone. And at the moment he had the most, he faced the deepest emptiness. The questions he confronted were not merely personal dilemmas. They are the very questions that all of us will, at some point, encounter or perhaps already have. Today, through the life of a man named Tolstoy, we hope to quietly reflect on the time we have lived so far, and to take a deeper look into the life that lies ahead. His struggles and realizations may become a small light for us, wandering and lost in a complex world. At this moment, please listen quietly. Let us take this time to see what kind of resonance his life's journey might bring to each of our own lives. In 1828, in a noble family in Russia, Tolstoy was born in a house with a vast estate. His family had been aristocrats for generations, and from childhood, he lacked nothing. His estate, Yasnaya Polyana, was vast and beautiful, and there he spent a rich childhood surrounded by nature. From an early age, he loved books, and his writing ability was exceptional, far beyond his peers. He was recognized for his talent early on, and expectations around him grew steadily. People saw in him a future giant. But he too was a restless soul in his youth. Despite his natural talent and wealthy background, he wandered aimlessly. He dropped out of university, lost interest in his studies, and spent his days in meaningless pursuits. He stayed up all night gambling, and nearly lost his fortune through usury. His youth was full of chaos and self-destructive impulses. We often romanticize the youth of great figures, but Tolstoy was no exception. He too couldn't escape the anxieties and confusion that come with being human. In fact, he constantly searched for direction, fearing he might lose everything he had. Then he found inspiration as a writer on the battlefield. His experiences in the Crimean War left a deep mark on him. The horrors of war and the raw humanity he witnessed shaped his insight. He sharply observed the tragedy of war, human frailty, and the irony of life. These experiences came to life in his work, Sevastopol Sketches. Through this piece, he began to gain fame as a writer. Later, he presented to the world masterpieces that would remain. Works like War and Peace, which captured vast Russian history, and Human Figures, and Anna Karenina, depicting tragic love, and the conflict between society and the self. These works quickly elevated him to Europe's top literary figure. His house was always bustling with nobles, journalists, and writers. His thoughts spread across Europe, and people listened to his every word. Fame, money, respect, he had everything the world could offer. He seemed to have the world in the palm of his hand. But at the center of it all, Tolstoy became increasingly silent. Even at lavish banquets, his eyes appeared empty. In noisy conversations, his heart remained silent. It felt like a hollow space had opened in his chest. The emptiness grew, and eventually he made this confession: "I lost the meaning of life. Though I had everything, I could no longer see myself." He realized that all he had achieved was actually hiding his true self. People envied him, but he began asking himself the most important questions: what does all of this mean? What am I living for? The deep emptiness he felt at the height of his success was the beginning of a new search. In his mid-50s, Tolstoy fell into deep depression and helplessness. He wandered in search of life's meaning, suffering in the emptiness that fame and wealth brought. He often sat in silence, just staring out the window. His face was shadowed. His eyes revealed the loneliness of a drifting soul. Conversations with his family began to fade, and he sank deeper into his inner world. The praise and respect he received from the world offered him no comfort. He even confessed that he was tempted to end his own life. At this time, he had a near accident falling from a horse. Though it passed without injury, he suddenly thought, "If I were to die like this, would I feel no regrets?" That question made him truly feel death's shadow. What meaning could his life hold in the face of death? He felt an urgent need to seek something beyond mere physical existence. The accident woke him to the preciousness and finiteness of life. It became a powerful trigger for his awakening. He said, I wanted to ask people the meaning of life. But no one could answer. Though he had all knowledge and fame, no one could give a clear answer to life's essential questions. So he decided to seek the answers himself. He began studying philosophy, religion, science, and Eastern thought. He explored the great currents of Western philosophy. Plato's ideas, Kant's rationalism, Schopenhauer's pessimism. He also delved into the Bible, Buddhist scriptures, and Confucius teachings. He sought the roots of life in the wisdom of East and West. His one question was, how should we live? His quest was not intellectual play. It was a desperate struggle to save himself from the pain and despair of life. Facing the shadows in his heart, he went through painful self-reflection and wrote a confession. This book honestly reveals his inner conflict and spiritual search. Wealth, fame, even family pain, he exposed his hidden truths. It became a lasting work of self-exploration in global thought. Not just an autobiography, but a deep inquiry into human existence, a shining record of the soul. Through this book, Tolstoy began to escape the emptiness that had tormented him and sought new direction in life. With a new direction in life, Tolstoy began to change outwardly too. He didn't stop at philosophical change, he reformed his entire lifestyle. He took off his noble garments and wore simple peasant clothes. Instead of expensive clothes with silk and lace, he wore rough shirts and pants like Russian farmers. He gave up luxurious meals and began a simple vegetarian diet. No more meat and wine feasts. He ate vegetables and grains that he grew himself. His table was modest and plain, but his soul was more abundant than ever. He woke up at dawn to chop wood and clean stables. He plowed fields and harvested crops with local farmers. He was no longer a nobleman sitting in a study. He sought the essence of life through physical labor. These were not whims but conscious choices to live life fully. He believed that wealth and fame were illusions, and that real value could be found in labor and nature. He said, "True life is a simple life. Only when we live simply can we truly be free." He believed that desire and possession enslave people and bring misery. He thought complex, fancy lives only trapped people further. His ideas shocked Russian society at the time. He tried to show the beauty of simple, humble living. Later, he built a school at Yasnaya Polyana and wrote for the peasants. He didn't just teach. He lived with the children and met them at their level. Rather than complex philosophy, he taught useful life lessons and moral stories. His writings were loved by children. and his educational ideas spread throughout Russia. Even now, some parts of Russia still follow his approach. He believed planting love was more important than teaching knowledge. For Tolstoy, education meant enriching the soul and helping people live better lives. Until his last days, he deeply pondered humanity and society's core issues. He searched for answers in simplicity and love. But his radical transformation caused turmoil. For those around him, especially his wife, Sophia. At first, she tried to support him. But gradually she became exhausted by his extreme changes. His choices affected not only himself, but also their livelihood, social status, and the future of their children. Sophia respected his beliefs, but feared the reality they faced. Tolstoy wanted to give up all his copyrights and donate his wealth to society. He chose a life of poverty. He believed material possessions oppressed the human spirit. But Sophia was worried about supporting their children's lives. She insisted that the family needed resources for their future. His ideals clashed with her practical concerns, and conflicts arose again and again between them. Their home became a whirlwind of love and misunderstanding. His radical lifestyle demanded sacrifice from the family. Sophia felt as if she were losing her own life in his shadow. He wrote in his diary, "Sometimes the hardest conversations are with the ones we love most." This shows their struggles were not just conflicts, but difficulties in understanding. Because their love was deep, differences hurt more. Tolstoy pursued his ideals, but never lost affection for his wife and children. Despite conflicts, he constantly worried about Sophia and left her notes. "I still love you. I hope you are peaceful tonight." These short notes show their bond was more than conflict. Though their lives and values differed, their feelings stayed strong. Life may be less about perfect peace, and more about endless efforts to understand each other. Their relationship was imperfect, but they tried to accept and live together. Their conflict reflects the complexity of human relationships and the true meaning of love and forgiveness. Tolstoy learned the importance of love and forgiveness, even amid family conflicts. In November 1910, at age 82, Tolstoy left his home. He could no longer find peace amid family conflicts. Quietly, without telling anyone, he took a train alone. His last journey was like a pilgrimage. He abandoned all possessions, seeking only the peace of his soul. His departure shocked Russian society and attracted global media attention. People wondered where he went, and what he was searching for. He stayed at a small rural station, Astapovo, a remote place. There he fell ill with pneumonia and ended his journey. Though unexpected, his death was perhaps a moment of final freedom. Before dying, he reportedly said, "I am now returning to my true self." This was a confession encompassing his life, and his last realization about the essence of life. He longed to return to his true self, beyond fame, wealth, and status. What he left us is deeper philosophy than books. He said, "The purpose of life is growth, not success. It's not to beat others, but to beat yesterday's self." This insight came from his youth, his wandering and the emptiness of success. He realized that external success and material gain are not true values of life. True life is a constant process of self-reflection and growth. He reminds us to seek life's meaning beyond success and fame. Tolstoy is not just a great writer. He is a traveler who ventured into life's deepest places. Through his life, he posed fundamental human questions and strived endlessly to find answers. His life teaches us that the noble journey is to seek true meaning in life. Tolstoy encourages us to be courageous travelers, searching beyond success and fame to find our true selves. His final journey was the completion of his lifelong quest for an ideal life. As we walk the path of life, we come to realize that it is not speed but direction that truly matters. We often strive to go faster and have more by comparing ourselves with others. But Tolstoy's life urges us once again to reflect on what is truly important. Tolstoy says, "All who live life must become philosophers." A philosopher is not someone special, but someone who asks questions of themselves. How am I living? Is this life the one I have truly chosen? These questions lead us into deep introspection and offer us a chance to redefine the direction of our lives. Right now, how much do you love your life? How close is your life to the life you truly desire? May these questions inspired by Tolstoy's life bring a quiet resonance to your own journey,